With me today is Michael Guillén, a film journalist and member of the San Francisco Film Critics Circle. Welcome to the place, Michael.
Thank you.
During your career as a film journalist, you've interviewed hundreds of people. Is there a certain art to interviewing?
There's definitely an art to interviewing, just as there's an art to conversation. And in fact, I very rarely call them interviews. I always call them conversations.
How do you go about having good conversation?
Well, you have to be genuinely interested. I think when you talk to someone, it's just like you're talking to a friend or someone you've just met. You have to be genuinely interested in the person and be willing to find out who that person is. Listen, I think you have to be interested in people if you want to be a good interviewer. It's almost a writer's sensibility, like a writer's interest in people. Not every interview is a successful interview. I would say the case in point was Michel Gondry, who had come to the conversation with definite answers to everything that he wanted to say and wasn't willing to stray at all. So that was a failed interview.
Who do you sort of like to interview at these festivals?
Total nobodies and first-time directors are my favorites. People from other countries and first-time directors are, I think, the most interesting people to talk to.
Have there been times where you make very good friends off of the people you meet at film festivals and interview them? So not only are they in your professional life, but they cross over into like a tight circle of friends that you have?
Absolutely, and then you try to do everything you can for their film because they're your friend. You know, I know some people would say that's not being professional, but I think it's just reality. You know, I just programmed a festival here in San Francisco, a genre film festival, and was able to bring 3 or 4 films here that I had seen, and actually got 2 of the directors written up in Variety. So I felt that was a lot of fun. I just really enjoyed that. It was all friendship.
Do you have a favorite interview, and if so, why is it your favorite?
Of mine?
An interview that you've done, or even an interview that you've watched?
Well, of mine, I would say I have 2 favorite interviews. One was with Guillermo del Toro, who I found to be a fabulous individual. He's an idol of mine, so I got to be a fanboy and a professional at once, which to me is such a delight. And the other is with Charlie Kaufman, who I think is one of the smartest, most intelligent people I've ever met. So when you have the opportunity to have a conversation with people like that, those aren't just professional opportunities. Those are like personal moments in your life where you either meet an icon or an idol, and you get to have a one-on-one conversation with them.
Do you ever find yourself tongue-tied around these people who you sort of look up to and have the ability to tug at your emotional strings?
I've only been tongue-tied twice, and one time I had to refuse the interview. The first time was with Alicia Cuthbert. Do you know Alicia Cuthbert?
I'm not familiar.
She was a television actress. She was on the series 24. She played Jack Bauer's daughter. And they kind of doubted her down for the TV series, and I didn't realize she was so beautiful. And she was probably one of the most beautiful women I've ever met in my life, and I was trembling. I was totally tongue-tied. I had a lot of trouble with Béla Tarr, who's a kind of a Hungarian auteur, one of the masters of cinema, really. And I had always heard that he chewed up journalists and spit them out. So I was very concerned meeting him, but realized the only way I could deal with it was to just admit it. You know, told him he scared me to death.
Did he back off at that point?
Oh, absolutely, he loved it. He laughed. He just, patted my shoulder and said, "Don't worry," and then was very open and forthcoming.
Okay. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today. I think we're going to wrap things up. Thank you for joining us today, Michael. It's
My
been a pleasure. And join us next week for our guest, Alfred Hitchcock. Thank you.
Bringing him back from the dead, eh?
Yeah.